Yesterday, we stopped with a conversation that Ramana Bhagavan had with his devotees, where he said, everybody wants jnana from me. Everybody comes asking for liberation from me. But I tell them, you give yourself to me, and they are not willing to do that. And how can they attain jnana or liberation? The giving of oneself to God or the Guru is surrender, is Sharanagati. We have an illusion of freedom. What we call as freedom or consider as freedom is only an illusion. And when we are asked to submit this idea or this concept of our freedom to another person, we immediately resist that. Why? Why should I give myself over to somebody? It is an unconscious, if you will, a subconscious resistance that people have. That is why Bhagavan says here, I ask them to give themselves over to me, but they are not willing to do so. Why are they not willing to do so? Because nobody wants to let go of their freedom. Nobody wants to be under the command of somebody else. We think we are free. We think we are free, and therefore we do not want to give up our freedom to someone else. But the question is, are we truly free? Anityam asukam lokam, we saw yesterday. Are we really free? If you are really free and have your own free will, can you keep one hair on your head from going grey or from falling down? Who likes a bald head? Who likes a head full of grey hair? Who likes teeth that rattle, bones that ache, joints that creak? Nobody wants all of these things. But for your asking, can you prevent all of that? Where's your freedom? When the call comes to drop the body, can you say, like an extension of a week? No, an extension of an hour. No, an extension of a minute, a second even. No. Where is the freedom that we are talking about? This illusory freedom we are refusing to give up. This illusory freedom we are refusing to give up. We spoke about age yesterday. Yeah, age. Remember, we started off with young age and then young age and then mad age and mortgage. But from that point onwards, there are two more ages that we can attain. One, we can become garbage. Or we can become a sage. This is the choice that we have. This is perhaps the free will that we have. This is the only free will that we have. With all the age that comes, ultimately we can end up being garbage or we can become sages. And how do we become sages? Now, that is where Sharanagati comes in. Otherwise, we will end up as garbage only. What do I mean by garbage? When you are dead and gone, what is your body but garbage? It can't be kept. Can't even be kept as a souvenir. It has to be immediately disposed of. It becomes a public health hazard. Yeah, what are we? We are actually public health hazards. But where is freedom? In reality, there is no such thing as freedom in this world. We are living under an illusion of freedom, and the irony is that we are refusing to even give up this illusion called freedom. And by giving up this illusion of freedom, what do you get? You get the real freedom, you get the true freedom. That is where you get liberated. That is why we use this beautiful word called moksha, mukti. These are the terms that are used. What is the meaning of mukti? Freedom. Moksha, liberation. It is the opposite of bondage. It is the opposite of being under someone else's command. Whose command are we under right now? The five elements. If the sun is hot, are you free to feel cool? You're not. If it is 6 degrees outside, are you free to feel warm? No, you're under the command of the elements. You're under the command, the tyranny of your thoughts. You are under the tyranny of this body. You are under the tyranny of the society. And then we claim to ourselves to be free. We are certainly free in our imagination. We have a free imagination which leads us to believe that we are free, when in reality we are hopelessly caught and hopelessly bound. There is only one way by which we can get rid of this. What is that? Tatvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshayanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Bhagavan says in the Gita that the only way in which you can get this truth, gain this truth, is you have got to go to those who have accomplished it, attained it, and from them you seek the truth. Yesterday we said there are only two paths. One, you solve the problem by yourself, or you seek someone's help. But to solve the problem by ourselves, we do not even know where to begin. We definitely need somebody who has already traversed the path. That is why, right in the beginning of creation itself, we find a very beautiful scenario. We find this in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The world starts with creation. Who is the first person being created? Brahma is the first being that was created, then he becomes the creator. The Lord creates Brahma. Brahma appears. And when Brahma appears, Brahma does not know what to do. He suddenly finds himself on a lotus and he does not know what to do. He has no clue what to do. Because there's nobody to tell him what to do. Stand alone, we have no clue what to do. Somebody has to tell us. Then there is a divine voice that comes which says, Tapa, do tapas. The Lord instructs him to do tapas, shows him how to do tapas. Thereafter he does that tapas, attains the truth, and then starts the whole process of creation. This is how Srimad Bhagavatam describes the story. So even the very first being created required help. Brahma also required help. We cannot on our own find this truth. We all need help. So who is this person that can help us now? God alone can help us. Bhagavan alone is the one who can help us. And therefore seeking help is what is otherwise called a Sharanagati. Simple terms, we will explain the nuances of Sharanagati as we go on. But in very simple terms, what is the Sharanagati? Having the wisdom and the courage and the humility to seek help. Because you need three things before you can seek help. Just because you seek help, help will not be given to you. You have to be qualified enough to receive that help. So what are the qualifications that you require in this country if someone's old? As you get aged, you are eligible for domestic help to come home and do things for you. But for that, there are criteria that you have to meet. And when you meet all of those, then they will say, okay, they will assess you in 4 levels or something, I'm told. Level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. But you will be assessed and then appropriately help will be provided. That is the structure. Anywhere, that is how it is done. Here also it is the same thing. However, you need certain qualities before you can receive help, even if you ask for it. What are the qualifications that first, you must have the wisdom to seek help. The wisdom to seek help. Otherwise, we are in this foolish pursuit of thinking that I can somehow solve the world's problems. Isn't it? I will solve the problems of the world. If you interview a 14, 15-year-old school child, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I'll say, I want to solve world hunger. I want to solve world hunger. At the age of 14, the child will say, I want to solve world hunger. By the time the child becomes 41, and you ask the child, say, I want to first solve my hunger. We want to go and change the entire world. But we need to know first what we are capable of. We can change the world, there's no doubt about it. You certainly can, but you must have the tools to do it. Who's going to give you those tools? You must have the wisdom to seek those tools, isn't it? So the wisdom to seek help, the courage to seek help, which is even more important, the courage to seek help. I remember a few years ago, the WorkSafe, there's a commission called WorkSafe. They deal with workplace safety. They were running a series of ads and they were showing tradies all being injured. And the big billboard says, when in doubt, do not be afraid to ask. Meaning these apprentices or these newcomers, when they get into their workplace in high risk jobs, they are afraid to ask somebody for help because then they'll be judged or they'll be thought badly or poorly of. And so they are refusing to ask help. In the end, they get injured badly. So the whole thing was about ask. Don't be afraid to ask. So you must have courage to seek help. To go to somebody and say, I have a problem, takes a lot of courage. I need help. I bring a lot of courage. Why? Because we've got egos that are taller than us. Our egos are taller than the physical frame. It goes high up. And to bend down and to confess our inability and to seek help is not easy for everybody. You need a lot of courage for it. But you may have the wisdom and you may have the courage, but the third thing that is also equally important is humility. You can't rock up to the person that you need help from and say, "Oi, help me." They don't have any reason to help you. They are not obliged to help you. That is why sevaya nu channar. You can't demand this help. You've got to have the requisite humility to beseech. Adi hi bhagavan brahmeti. Upanishad, in various places in the Upanishad, when somebody goes and seeks the Brahmagyana, Brahmavidya, the knowledge of the self, the knowledge of the truth, they go to the Guru and they say, please bestow upon me this great mighty truth. I mean, they go with an attitude of absolute utter humility. So three things are required: the wisdom to seek help, the courage to seek help, and the humility that will actually bring us that help that we seek. When all these three things come together, then that is the beginnings of Sharanagati. This is where it starts. And going and handing yourself over to the Guru is very important. Handing yourself over to that person that you are seeking refuge is very important, because if you want it your way, Swami often used to tell us this. He used to say, don't be a self-prescribing patient. Don't be a self-prescribing patient. When I say this, the GP, our GP who comes and attends all our talks, she used to say, oh, I have seen plenty of those. What does it mean? The patient will walk in directly and say, I've come here because I need a prescription of such. Please give it to me. They will not say what they have. It is not a consultation. It is merely a request for prescription. They have self-prescribed. They know, I've already checked Google. I know exactly what condition I have. I know exactly what medication I require. So but I can't get it OTC. Therefore, all I require for you to do is fill up the prescription and give it to me. And then she says, that doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You have to tell me. I have to decide whether this is what I should be giving you or something else. Isn't it? You can't go with self-prescribed, a self-diagnosis and a self-prescription. So when you go and surrender to somebody, what is the surrender? How is the surrender to be done? Giving yourself completely over to the person that you are surrendering yourself to, so that they may then work on you. Here's where the problem comes for most people. Here's where the problem comes for most people, because they are not willing to do it. But then there is a way out even here. All is not lost. There's a beautiful conversation in Talks with Sri Ramana Maharshi. In the book Talks with Ramana Maharshi. There is a lady from North India, quite an aristocratic lady, who has come to visit the ashram. It is time for her to go back. But her heart does not want to leave. She has been so impressed and so devoted to Bhagavan, she doesn't want to leave. So she goes and seeks permission to go. And at the same time, she says, please bestow your grace upon me, so that even though I am far away, she says, I'm a grihini, I'm a householder. I've got householder duties to fulfill. I'm a wife to a husband. I've got duties there. I'm a mother to children. I've got duties there. I'm a in-law, daughter-in-law to my in-law. So I've got duties there. So I've got to fulfill all these duties. In the midst of it all, it is so hard, difficult for me to keep track of this truth. So you must bless me. With great humility, she asks for his grace. So Bhagavan tells her, why don't you simply surrender? Why don't you simply surrender? There again she says, but it is so difficult to surrender. When you're faced with all the various issues in life, it is so difficult to surrender fully. She says, she confesses. But Bhagavan's reply comes, then why don't you surrender partially? It is difficult to surrender fully. She said, then Bhagavan said, why don't you then surrender partially? She asked, will partial surrender work? Bhagavan says, do it and see. Do it and see. This is bite-sized pieces. You don't have to gobble up the entire pizza. You eat it little by little. It will be done. Somehow we get this idea, in spirituality, we always look at the end result. What is the end result? Complete, utter, total surrender is the end result. Atmanivedanam, completely giving ourselves over to the Guru is the highest state. Immediately we want to jump to the highest state. We forget where we are. We forget exactly where we are at. So what is possible for us to do? What are we capable of doing? We can surrender partially. What does partial surrender mean? Maybe we cannot surrender those big ticket items in life. Maybe it is hard for us to say, oh no, I really want this house. So I can't just surrender it to God's will and say, okay, whichever house God gives me is fine. I really want to get married to this person. So I can't simply say, oh God, it's fine, whatever you do. No, I really want this. I want this job. I really want this job. I really want my child's education or health or wealth. Okay. If you find it hard to surrender, that's fine. You can still start with partial surrender. Surrender the things that you can surrender. Can we not start surrendering the things that we can surrender? So how can I do this partial surrender at least, even if I cannot do full surrender? Because we've said this is an open secret. I'm opening the secret out to everybody. So far you only heard about complete total surrender. But today, I'm, what can I say, lowering the bar, if you will. And say there is something called partial surrender. Will it work? Do it and see. How do I partially surrender? If I understand all the steps to surrender, then I can fit in somewhere and do whatever little bit I can. So how do I surrender? The Shastras, that is why we have these Shastras. These scriptures are so beautiful. They point, form, they list everything out for us. So they say Sharanagati, surrender, has got 6 components in it, 6 steps in it. 6 components, I really will not call them steps, 6 angas or limbs or components to it. What are these components? Anukulasya sankalpaha, pratikulya vivarjanam, rakshishiti mahavishvaso, goptrutva varanam tatha, atmanikshepa karpanye shadvidha sharanagatihi. 6 steps have been listed out in surrender. Anukulyasya sankalpaha, taking the resolve, the determination to surrender. First, cultivating the appropriate resolve, the beneficial resolve. The next step is to give up that which is contrary to our beneficial resolve. Anukulyam, that which is conducive to our well-being. Pratikulya means that which is the opposite of it, that which is harmful to our well-being. So it is very simple. What should we do? We should accept that which is helpful to us and reject that which is harmful to us. These are the first 2 steps. What is the next step? Faith. The next step is faith. What faith? Faith that He will protect. Faith that this Lord that I am surrendering to will protect. Yogi Ram Surat Kumar from Thiruvannamalai would say, faith is greater than God. Faith is greater than God. We say God is great, and therefore we should have faith in God. But the reality is, faith is even greater than God Himself. Because even if God doesn't do a sankalpa, faith makes it work. Faith works wonders. There's a story in the Bible. Jesus is walking along in the crowds, along with all His disciples. The crowds are thronging. Everybody wants to have a glimpse of this new teacher. Everybody wants to have a contact with Him. And He's walking. At that time, there is a woman who has got an issue. She's got a problem. It's a woman's problem that she has got. And she somehow wants to, she's heard about the miracles that Jesus is capable of working, and she wants to somehow get to Him so that she can be healed. She wants to go to Him, pray to Him, and seek His help to be healed. So she comes along in this crowd. But the crowds are so much, and this frail woman is being pushed aside. She's not able to reach up to the Master. In the end, all she manages to do as He's walking along, she manages to catch hold of the hem of His robe. She just manages to touch the hem of His robe. The instant she touches, not the frame, not the body, not Him, just the hem. Not Him, but hem. The moment she touches the hem, he goes, and turns around and says, "Who touched me?" Abdini asks. "Who touched me?" Abdini asks. There are so many people there, everybody's touching him. The crowds are a lot and everybody is actually touching him. In the midst of it all, when this woman comes and touches not even him but the hem of his robe, he turns around and says, "Who touched me?" His eyes fall upon this woman and he says, "Daughter, you have been made whole. Daughter, you have been made whole. Thy faith has healed thee." Your faith has healed you. What healed her? Faith healed her. Jesus was not involved. Faith healed. Similarly, there's a story of the centurion who comes. His son is sick. His son is very ill. He's a Roman centurion. He comes to Jesus and he prays. He says, "If you will come but once to my house, I am confident my son will become all right." He says, "Go. Your faith has already healed your son." And the moment he goes, he finds out the son comes out running to receive him. And when was the son healed? He tallies the account. The moment he said, "If you come, I have the faith that if you but visit my house, my son will be healed." At that very moment, the son was healed. That's why it is said faith is even greater than God Himself. So faith in God is greater than God. So Rakshasiti Maha Vishwasaha. Goptrutva Varanam Tata. The next step, the fourth step here is Goptrutva Varanam. Giving, choosing. Varanam abdina, it's a very sweet word. Varichi kardunu nama Tamil solluvom. Varichi kardunu solluvom. It is very hard to translate it into English. The best I can say in English is to choose. To choose the Lord. To choose the protector. To choose the Lord to whom you are surrendering to. Abdina doesn't mean, okay, I will choose, let's see, should I choose Vishnu, should I choose Shiva, should I choose Jesus, should I choose Allah, should I choose Swami? Anga choice illa, not that kind of a choice. It is not the choice of amongst all of them, make them all stand in a line and decide whom to surrender to. Not that choice. Most of the time, actually people misinterpret this whole thing and they say it is about making the right choice, choosing the right person to surrender to. Not at all. It is not choosing the right person to surrender to. Because it is the act of surrender that is important. The person that is being chosen, the externals of that person do not matter, because the person who is going to protect you is not that external person but the indwelling being. And that indwelling being is present equally in everybody. If you opened a bank account in Parramatta, it doesn't mean you've got to go only to the Parramatta branch to do your banking. You can bank from anywhere in Australia, isn't it? Like that, it doesn't mean that, I have to go only to choose the right person to surrender to. Then there is a big debate then. That is where all the debates come. No. Allah alone can protect. No, 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 no. Vishnu alone can protect. Forget him. Shiva alone can protect. Each other, they are fighting without realizing that none of them can protect you. Without realizing that none of them are capable of protecting you. It is your faith that is going to protect you. It is your Shraddha, your Vishwasa, your faith that is going to protect you. It has got nothing to do with all of these lineups. That is why already in the previous step we said Mahavishwasa, the great faith that I will be protected. Who is going to protect me? That is their lookout, not yours. Who is going to protect me? Whoever has to come to protect you will protect you. You don't have to get fixated on the person who is going to come to protect you. You understand this? When if you call for an emergency, an ambulance or something, who is going to come? Do you know who is going to come? Whoever has to come will come and take care of you. So if you go into the emergency and you're there, the triage is being done. Who will now come and attend upon you? Whoever has to come to attend upon you will come and attend upon you. It depends on what you have. It depends on your condition. It depends upon your background. It depends upon so many things. Based on that, the appropriate doctor will attend upon you. Like that, it is not our problem to debate and distinguish and choose who should I surrender to. After all, Swami is the latest version. Should I choose the latest version? It is more updated. Regular software updates may have already happened, applied to Swami, so I must choose Swami. Because, Krishna, 5,000 years old, Rama, about 7,000 years old, a lot of changes have happened since then. I don't know if outdated versions can still support the current requirements. Problems. We'll start thinking in those lines. Maybe Jesus is even more recent, only 2,000 years. Maybe he's a better person to surrender to. If you have who will you then surrender? In the end, you will not surrender to anybody because you'll be busy debating whom to surrender to. It doesn't matter who. There is only one higher power. There's one great force that is running this world. That force is what is called as God. Many years ago, in Melbourne, I was invited to a gathering that was celebrating Ganesh Chaturthi festivals, Ganesh Puja. And they had invited me to give a little discourse. So I was talking about God, and I was talking about the importance of God and how God alone matters and how God alone should be chosen and all of those things. For an hour, I was waxing eloquent. Right at the end, everything is finished. And a person walked up with a very serious, sincere face. He said, in your discourse, the whole time you were saying God, God, God. Which God? I still didn't catch it. Because, our upbringing or background, God is God. So I still didn't understand. I said, what do you mean which God? No, like Shiva or Vishnu or Ganesha or Durga. But imagine, I have gone on for an hour talking about God. In the whole hour, this person has been thinking, which God is he talking about? Which God is he talking about? God is God. God is but God. God is but a higher power. A higher power, that is what is making your hearts beat. It is making the seasons turn. It is maintaining the entire universe. From the smallest atom to the mightiest structures. Whatever name and form you choose to put upon that mighty power, it does not matter. It is not bothered by your appellations or names and forms because it is even before those names and forms are. Moses on Mount Sinai, standing opposite that burning bush. The bush speaks to him and he asks, who are you? He says, I am God. He doesn't say I am God. He says, I am that I am. I am that I am. So Moses, scratches his head and says, what do you mean? Who are you? What does it mean I am that I am? That bush, sighs a little bit. Okay, fine. Okay. I am the God of your fathers. I am the God of Abraham. That's how he understands. Oh, you are that fellow. Then he makes a very beautiful statement there. He says, before Abraham was, I am. That's a nice statement in the Bible. From tense point of view, it's a bit shonky. Grammatically, it is a bit shonky because grammar cannot capture the truth. He says, before Abraham was, I am. He didn't say I was. He says, I am. Because I am that I am. So who is this God? This is this God that was there before he was given the name God. That is why he said, before Abraham was, I was. I am. Before we invented all these gods, he was God. We say surrender to Krishna. Now, what about before Krishna was born? Was God not there? Surrender to Jesus. Now, before Jesus was born, who did he have to surrender to? Who was the Lord who would protect you? Was there not a Lord then? He is not somebody who comes at a point in time and then starts bearing a name or has a form. He is that principle, that mighty force that has always been there. Goptritva Varanam means to choose that higher power. So what does it mean to choose that power? Now we have a choice. We are exercising a fundamental right that we have, which is to make a choice. What are we choosing is the question. What are we choosing? We are choosing the world. We are choosing the pursuits of this world. We are choosing all the pleasures and the privileges of this world. What are we asked to choose here? Goptritva Varanam. Choose him. What does choosing him mean? You cannot choose two things. This is not a checkbox type of choice. It is a bullet point type of choice. Have you seen in forms? If it is round, you can choose only one. If you choose something else, then that will be deactivated. This will be chosen. If it is a box, then you can tick as many as you want. This is not a box type. This is a dot type. It's a bindu. A round bindu. Nahada bindu kalana. You have to choose only one. You can either choose this or you can choose that. Again, I don't know why today maybe St. Joseph's Hall makes it like that. You know, it must be floating in the atmosphere here. Because in the Bible, Jesus says once again, no man can serve two masters. No man can ride two horses. No man can serve two masters. You cannot serve God and the world. Everything Jesus says in the Bible. That is what is the meaning of Goptritva Varanam. You choose him. First one, you make the right resolve to surrender. Second, you give up everything that is opposed to your capacity to surrender. Third, you have the great faith that he will protect. Fourth, you choose him above all things. It is not choosing him against other people. No, it is choosing him above all things. What is important to me? He is important to me. Nothing else is important to me. God alone. This is the meaning of Goptritva Varanam. Finally, Atmanikshepa. Atmanikshepana, handing yourself over to the object that you have chosen, the person, that force that you have chosen. You hand yourself over to it. Karpanyam. Karpanyam na swasmin dinatva bhavana. I am incapable of doing. Therefore, I shall now listen to whatever you say. These are the 6 aspects of Sharanagati. When all of these come together, then Sharanagati will work. When all of these 6 aspects come together, then Sharanagati will work. Now, what makes it full or partial? The extent to which you can do it determines full or partial. I will surrender. You make the decision. But what happens? You're not able to give up everything that is opposed to your surrender. Certain times you're able to, certain times you're unable. Why? Because you're not strong enough. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. There you go. One more line from the Bible today. It's been ages since I've read the Bible, but walking into this hall, that means there must so much of biblical study, Bible study must go on here. Otherwise, you can't tap into this vibrations. So sometimes spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So we fail. So what happens to our surrender then? We do want to surrender, but we are unable to fully surrender. Doesn't matter. That is where we settle down into that partial surrender state. Sometimes we have the faith that he will protect. Sometimes we begin to doubt, will he really? What if he doesn't? But then the faith starts to shake. But when we have that faith, it is partial surrender. When we don't have it, that is gone. Sometimes we choose him. When do we choose him? If you listen to a weekend of pravachan, tomorrow evening you will walk away. God is what I must choose. God is all that I really want. You will have that josh, you will have that great force, great energy, with the determination with which you will walk out. How long? How long will that last? Most likely until you go home. All through the drive, you may be thinking and talking if somebody else is along with you. Makes so much sense. Of course, God is what we must be choosing. It is all that is important to us. You will make all of it. The moment you open your door and step inside, then all the existing problems of the house will come in. And after that, this will immediately slide back, isn't it? Yes or no? How many times we have gone through this experience? By now we are very well experienced in it. So again, what happens here? Doesn't matter. This is partial. Will partial work? No, try it and see. But to make it practical for us, we don't want our Sharanagati to be theoretical. We want it to be very practical. How do we make it practical? Now, what can we do to make it practical? When we study only theory, it will be theoretical only. If you want to make it practical, you've got to look at people who have actually managed to do it. That is what makes it possible for us. We've got to see what they did when they surrendered. If anybody has surrendered, what did they do when they surrendered? What did they say? What was their attitude when they, at that point of surrender? And how did that attitude gel with what happens eventually? Does it work or not work? So we've got to do a bit of case study analysis. When we study these cases, we will understand exactly what happens in surrender. But before we go into those case studies, let's sort of take some time to look at the Lord's point of view about surrender. What does the Lord say about what is surrender? In our scriptures, there's one text that is alternatively known as a Sharanagati Shastram. It is called the Scripture on Sharanagati, the textbook on Sharanagati. It is nothing but Srimad Ramayana. The Ramayana, the story of Rama, is otherwise also called a Sharanagati Shastra because it details the idea of surrender, it introduces the idea of surrender and perfects it even. And it brings at various episodes, it brings people that are presented as exemplars of surrender. So if you want to do a bit of a case study analysis, now we can study these people and see, okay, what did they have when they surrendered? And did it work? And above all, we want to only choose successful case studies. He surrendered, and then what happened? It didn't work. Why are we discussing that then? If the surrender did not work, why do we have to discuss it? No, to know what should not be done. So that we may know all the things to avoid. If we don't do it this way, why? It won't work. But let's look at the surrenders that worked. The Ramayana, one of the first surrenders that happens is Bharata's surrender. Bharata has just come back from his grandfather's house. What happened was, after the four brothers got married, Bharata's uncle had come to the wedding and he said, your granddad hasn't seen you for a long time. Now that you're married, why don't you all come for a holiday to your granddad's house? Where was granddad's house? KK Desham, Kashmir. A beautiful spot to go on holiday. Bharata, even Rama and Sita could not go anywhere. They only came to Ayodhya. Rama and Sita, Lakshmana and Urmila all came to Ayodhya. But Bharata and his wife Mandavi and Shatrughna and his wife Shrutakirti had a beautiful honeymoon where? Na Dal Lake. They went houseboating in Dal Lake. KK Desham is where Kashmir is. A beautiful place, apples and saffron and lakes and snow, and they were happily enjoying their time there. Years passed, they were only there. They did not come back at all. For 12 odd years they were there having a vacation. Why? There is a reason for that also. Rama was the crown prince. The kingdom should pass to the crown prince. The crown prince is the one that needs to be educated on all manner of political craft, administration, and so on and so forth. Not only that, if there was another person there, there is a bit of a possibility of a scuffle. So, in knowing all of this, Bharata said, fine, you study, I will enjoy. So, Bharata went away. But when Bharata went away, here where Rama was, there was also drama. Where there was Rama, there was big drama going on. Dasharatha wanted to crown him as the heir apparent, as the Yuvaraja, the crown prince. And then there was the spanner in the wheels called Manthara. She went and poisoned the mind of Kaikeyi. Kaikeyi demanded that Rama should go to the forest, while Bharata should become the king. Rama said, all right, and went to the forest along with Sita and Lakshmana. And the king, unable to take this, died. Story so far. King died. Now, Rama is not there, Lakshmana is not there, Bharata and Shatrughna are also not there. The king had 4 sons, but not one son was there available around his deathbed when he passed away. But the tradition demands that one of the sons has to come in order to perform the final funeral rites for the king. Nobody was available. So Vasishta, the sage, sends messengers to bring Bharata, because anyway Bharata has to take over the throne. So Bharata is brought in. When Bharata comes in, he meets an Ayodhya that is completely different to the one he left about 12 years ago. And when everybody sees Bharata, they immediately shut the doors upon his face. They do not even want to look at him. If at all they look at him, they curse him and they all walk away, and he has no clue what is going on. When he goes into the palace, he discovers that the entire thing was an orchestration by his mother, that she has brought ruin to Ayodhya. She was responsible for the death of her own husband and his father, Dasharatha, and that he has been nominated to become the king against all of his wishes and desires, because all he wants is for Rama, his brother, to become the king. So he says, I am not going to become the king, I am going to go and bring Rama back from the forest and crown him as the king. He decides, and he goes to the forest. He goes to the forest to surrender to Rama. This is one juncture of surrender. Bharata surrendering to Rama. How does Bharata surrender to Rama? What is the motivation in him? What is the emotional mood of Bharata? What are the important things in Bharata? And if you look at it, Srimad Ramayanam provides us with enough information. Yavanna Ramam Drakshyami Lakshmanam va Mahabalam Vaidehim va Mahabhagam Name Shantir Bhavishyati Yavanna Chandra Sankasham Drakshyami Shubhananam Bratuf Padma Visalaksham Name Shantir Bhavishyati Yavanna Charanau Bratuhu Parthiva Vyanjananvitau Shirasa Dharayishyami Name Shantir Bhavishyati Yavan Rajye Rajyarha Pitrupaita Mahestitaha Abhisheka Jalaklinno Name Shantir Bhavishyati. Bharata is declaring, I do not have peace. I have no peace. Name Shantir Bhavishyati. I do not have any peace at all. Peace will not be with me until I see Rama, until I go and place my head at his feet, until I hand over this kingdom back to the one who deserves this kingdom. Until then, I will not have any peace. When he goes, he says, how will I surrender to Rama? Iti loke samakrushtaha Padeshu adya prasadayan Ramam tasya patishyami Sitaya Lakshmanasya cha. Abhorred by the world that I am, I shall go and fall at the feet of Rama and surrender to him. Forsaken by the world, I surrender to him. Abdingara situation. Because when he came, nobody was willing to welcome him. The only person that was happy in all of the kingdom to see Bharata when he came back was the mother Kaikeyi, possibly the maid Manthara, 2 people. Nobody else was happy. The entire populace criticized him, shamed him, cursed him. This is the state in which he is. Even though the entire kingdom is now belonging to him. All the wealth belongs to him, all the kingdom belongs to him, but in the end he has received only the criticism of his populace, of the family, of everybody around him. So he says, where is peace for me? There is no peace for me. Until I go and surrender at his feet, there is no peace for me. He rushes for the sake of peace. One instance of surrender. I will go and hand over this kingdom to the one who deserves this kingdom, and I will rest in peace. That is when I shall have peace. And then he goes. In a way, Bharata Sharanagati is a partial surrender. We can consider Bharata Sharanagati as a partial surrender. Because I was talking about a partial surrender. Here's an example of a partial surrender. Why is this a partial surrender? Because it worked partially. It worked partially. How did it work partially? He wanted Rama to come back. But how does the story go? Rama does not come back. Instead, Rama says, you take my padukas, my footwear. You take them as my representative and you go and rule Ayodhya, but I shall still walk into the forest. He wanted Rama to come. Rama did not come. Rama sent his padukas. Rama did not come. Now, we may argue that Rama and Rama padukas are the same. There's no difference between Rama and Rama. That is a separate story. But Bharata's wish for Rama to come did not get fulfilled completely. But something has worked still. Even though his entirety of his wish was not fulfilled, partially it was fulfilled. He still didn't sit on the throne. He did not want to sit on the throne. He still did not sit on the throne. He wanted Rama to sit on the throne. Rama's paduka sat upon the throne, not Rama himself. Why did this partial surrender happen? Or why did this partial fruit come through? Because in that surrender of Bharata, when he goes there, he goes with an expectation that when I surrender to him, he will accept me and then accept my request, accede to my request, and come back to the kingdom with me. The other type of surrender. You understand the surrender? He already knows what he wants at the end of surrender. It is sort of self-prescribed patient. He already knows what he wants. He's going with the full knowledge of what he wants. He is my Lord, he is my brother, he is my Rama, he will not say no to me. Confidence is there, faith is there. But at the same time, he does not think about what does the Lord want. Instead, he thinks about what he wants, and he surrenders to the Lord with the plea and the request of granting him whatever he is asking. But the surrender is still, even though it is partial, that partial surrender is still true. It is not a false surrender. It is a true surrender, but it was not a complete surrender. Do you understand the difference? There's a quantitative, qualitative difference, as it were. The surrender is not complete. When is it complete? We will see later on how the surrender becomes complete. In this instance, surrender is not complete. Here he wants something. He goes and surrenders. He says, I will not have peace until I get my wish fulfilled. And my wish is for Rama to come back to Ayodhya and become the king. See, a very unique circumstance arises in this situation. Really, did Bharata want anything for himself? Bharata wanted Rama to become the king. It is a very selfless desire. He did not seek anything for himself. He wanted Rama to become the king. What is wrong with that? Yes, but he is deciding for Rama what Rama should want. He makes a big bold proclamation in the palace before setting out to the forest. He says, I will bring Rama back. I shall bring Rama back and see him upon the throne. This is my word to all of you. What do you mean? He tells everybody. Rama also knows that, but Rama does not budge an inch from his resolve. He doesn't come back with him. Why? The surrender was partial, not complete. A similar partial surrender happens in Mahabharata. Draupadi is dragged into the court, the open court, where all the men are sitting. Draupadi was in the inner chambers with all the women. She was clad in simple one-piece cloth inside there because she was only in the Antapura. She was not planning to come out. If she were coming out, she would dress herself well and come out. She was wearing sort of a night dress. Because her intention was not to come out. Yudhishthira loses Draupadi in the stake, in the gamble. Karna gives an idea. Duryodhana orders it. Dushasana implements it. Now there are 4 people that are famously known in Mahabharata as the Dushta Chatushtayam, the evil 4. Who are the evil 4? Duryodhana, Dushasana, Karna and Shakuni. 4. Why? In this particular instance, all 4 of them are involved. Otherwise, they are not called Dushta Chatushtayam. They are given this beautiful appellation because of the events that happened around Draupadi's dishonoring. For those of you who do not know the story, Draupadi is the wife of the Pandavas. I'm assuming most of you know. 4 people. Shakuni was the person who was playing with the loaded dice to cheat the entire game. When the Yudhishthira, the eldest of the Pandavas, loses everything, his kingdom, his brothers, himself and his wife, because he keeps gambling and keeps everything on stake. I'll bet this and I will bet that and I will bet the third. In the end, he bets his wife and loses her. Now she belongs to these people. So Karna says, bring her here. Then Karna gives the idea. Duryodhana gives the order. Dushasana goes and brings. He drags her from the Antapuram and she is brought there and they decide to, for some reason known only to them, disrobe her in front of everybody. It is not that everybody was sitting there to see her being disrobed, but I don't know why these 4 got the idea. They said disrobe her. But they started to pull her. Dushasana starts to pull her clothes. She tries to appeal to everybody, all the people that were there, all the elders, the honorable, erudite people that are there, the valorous ones. For some reason or the other, none of them could open their mouths. In the end, her husbands are unable to do anything. The elders are unable to do anything. Her family is not able to do anything. Finally, she throws up both her hands up into the air and says, Krishna, protect me. And Krishna comes immediately. Immediately, Bhagavan appears and provides her with reams and reams of sari. We know the story. Fine. Is it not a complete surrender? Because she prayed and she was saved. You should say this is a complete surrender. Why did you say this is a partial surrender? Because what happens here in this instance is she doesn't have any other desire but to save her honor and she prays to Krishna. Krishna also comes and protects. But the moment her honor is saved, she starts to make this great pledge. She says, until I see the ruin of this entire Kaurava race, I will not tie up my hair that I have unloosened. She makes a pledge. A little while ago, you were unable to do anything. Mahakarpanyam, I am helpless. Lord, protect me. The moment the Lord came to protect you, what happened? You fellows, you dare to insult me. I shall drink your blood. No, I shall take the blood and anoint my tresses with your blood and then I shall plait it. Draupadi makes a big shapata. So that which was given up, that ego that was given up, the Atma, Nikshepanam that happened, I give myself over to you. When? Till I was protected. After that I retrieve myself back and start to make my own statements. A partial surrender. Now I will decide what to do. If you had the capacity to decide what you will do, why did you call me? So this is again another example of partial surrender. The reason I'm giving is don't worry, don't think that we alone are incapable of full surrender. Even great heroes from the epics were only capable of partial surrender at times. Draupadi was one, Bharata was one. Then comes a perfect surrender. What is that perfect surrender that comes in Pakala? Yarana, naturally, Vibhishana. Sharanagati, we have to think about Vibhishana Sharanagati only. Again, going back to Srimad Ramayana. Perfect surrender comes from Vibhishana. Let's look at this case study. Context. Context is Ravana has kidnapped Sita, brought her to Lanka. Hanuman came in search of Sita, burned down all of Lanka, and then went back. So that which was held a secret, the location of Sita, is now revealed to everybody. Rama knows where Sita is. So he's going to now come with an army. At that point in time, Vibhishana, the younger brother of Ravana, tells him, it is not appropriate for us to keep Sita here. We should immediately restore her back to Rama. So he tries to advise Ravana in various ways. Ravana is not willing to listen to any of Vibhishana's words. In the end, he says, I do not even want to see your face because you are living here in my house, eating my food, and instead of being loyal to me, you are inimical to my interests. You are saying things that are humiliating me, and instead you are praising the enemy. So get out of here. Really, he kicks him out. When Ravana kicks Vibhishana out, he says, get lost. Go wherever you want. He kicks him. I don't want you to be here. Get lost. Now, what were Vibhishana's options? He has to get out of Lanka. Because Lanka, the king of Lanka is Ravana. There is a banishment order on Vibhishana. You cannot stay in Lanka. He has to get out of Lanka. So, where could he go? Where could he not go? He can go anywhere he wants. He can pretty much choose any place he wants. There is one particular place that he would have been well received at. There's a place called Alakapuri. This place called Alakapuri is right next to Kailasha. Currently somewhere near China. Who was ruling this place? Kubera was ruling this place. It was Kubera Patnam. Kubera, the king of Yakshas, the lord of wealth, is the ruler of Alakapuri. Who is Kubera? Kubera was the elder brother. Not only do they share part of the genes, so half the set of genes they share. There's something else that Vibhishana shares with Kubera. Kubera also was kicked out by Ravana. Kubera used to be the ruler of Lanka in those days. Ravana became powerful and he said, get out of here. He kicked out Kubera. So Kubera went north and settled down in the north. So now, Vibhishana also suffering the same plight. So they are brothers in sorrow. Half brothers and full brothers in sorrow. Oh, my plight is your plight, same pinch. Abdingra Madri people. So, an ideal place for Vibhishana to go after being exiled is Kuberapatnam. Yes or no? He would have been welcomed. Oh, you poor fellow, I know what it feels like to be kicked out. Come, I will keep you here. You are anyway my brother. You can have a good time here. I mean, he would have been happy in Yaksha Lokam. He doesn't go there. Vibhishana does not go to Kubera's city. Anywhere else in the world, world is big. He could have come to Australia, for instance. Vibhishana could have settled down happily in Australia, but he would have got a citizenship here. And he would have said advance Australia fair. It could have happened. Or he could have gone to Europe. He could have gone anywhere. Basically, he could have gone anywhere. He didn't choose any of those places. He instead chose to come knocking on the doors of the enemy, Rama. Rama had come to the other shores of the ocean with a view of laying siege to Lanka, with the idea of destroying all of Lanka and all the Rakshasas there to retrieve Sita. Who is Vibhishana? The brother of the king. He's not even half brother of Ravana, he's full brother of Ravana. He is Ravana's own younger brother. And so, when Vibhishana comes, what happens? Vibhishana travels Lanka, air Lanka he takes. He flies over the ocean. And then he reaches this shore, he comes to India. India, there's an immigration office. So Vibhishana cannot enter into the shores of India. He's still standing there. He could be deported because the immigration clearance has to come for him. So when he comes and stands there, he looks at all the monkeys. All the monkeys are busy, they're setting up a camp there. Suddenly, Vibhishana and 4 Rakshasas come. 4 people come flying in the air. So they thought, enemy attack. They were almost on the verge of calling out enemy attack. Immediately Vibhishana comes and says, I am Vibhishana, Ravana's younger brother. I have come to see Rama, to seek refuge in Rama. He declares. Who will believe him? Who in their right minds will believe that the enemy's brother, not even some chota mota fellow, not some common citizen, I am just a nameless citizen of Lanka, I want to come. Here's a top person in the royal family coming to the side of Rama and says, excuse me, I like to be with Rama. Who will allow him near? Is it an espionage attempt? Is it an assassination attempt? Is it an outbreak, a declaration of the war already? What is the purpose? Why has this person come now here? Is the question that comes. So immediately all the monkeys go rushing to their king Sugriva and says, Vibhishana has come. Sugriva knows Vibhishana. Why has Vibhishana come? Why has he come here? It is not right. The news reaches Rama. Rama says, everybody come. Come, let's discuss this issue today. So everybody immediately assembles in front of Rama. Sugriva is there. Angada is there, the crown prince of the monkeys, Angada. Jambavan, the old bear, is there. Hanuman is there. Rama is there, Lakshmana is there. Council of war is happening in Rama's tent. Vibhishana has come. What should we do? Rama is asking everybody. So everybody is giving their points of view, opinions. Sugriva says, how can you believe him? Cannot believe him. We should not believe him, we should kill him. Let us immediately kill him. Let us catch hold of him and kill him. Jambavan says, Jambavan is an elderly person. So no impulsive things there. He says, a bit suspicious. If he had come at a different time, as soon as Sita was kidnapped, if he had come, then we may have accepted him. Now that we are right at their doorsteps for him to come and surrender, the time and place is certainly suspect. We cannot easily accept him. Another fellow says, why don't we give him a role, accept him, give him a role, and then send a spy to shadow him. So we keep an eye on him to see what is the real motive. Let us shadow him. Each person is giving their own 2 cents worth. Rama says, I have my own policy here. What is the Lord's viewpoint on Sharanagati? Mitra bhavena sampraptam na tyajeyam katanchana dosho yadyapi tasya syat satam yetadagarhitam. Rama says, I have a policy. If someone seeks friendship with me, even if he is suspicious and faulty, I will accept him. I will not reject him. This is one policy. The more important policy is there with me. What is my very important policy? A very important shloka in the Srimad Ramayanam. Sakradeva prapannaya tava asmiti cha yachate abhayam sarva bhutebhyo dadam yetat vratam mama. He said, this is the policy. I have a policy that I will not refuse a friend. If someone comes seeking friendship with me, I will not refuse him. This is my policy. But I have a resolve. I have a vratha. I have a pledge that I have taken that I will always uphold. There's a difference between a policy and a pledge. A policy can be changed depending upon the situation, but a pledge cannot be changed. A promise cannot be changed. So what is the promise? Rama says, I have made a promise. What is the promise? If once somebody comes and says, I belong to you, Sakradeva prapannaya tavasmi ticha yachate. If once somebody comes to me, spreads out their hands in front of me, and he says to me, I surrender to you, I belong to you. Tavasmi, I'm not my own, I belong to you. Then I will rid him of fear from all quarters. I will give him fearlessness in the form of jnana, in the form of moksha itself. This is my vratha, Bhagavan is declaring here. So what is Bhagavan's requirement? This is from the Lord's own mouth, we hear what he is expecting the person surrendering him to do. Having said that, previous dosho yadyapi natyajayam is his policy. You got to bring both things together. This is the beauty of the Lord. He has got his standards. What are his standards? You come to me and you offer yourself completely to me and you say, Lord, I am yours. Lord, I am thine, I am thine, I am thine. We sing a bhajan, Lord, I am thine, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, be thou mine. If you come once and say, Lord, I am thine, I belong to you, then that very instant I will give him the highest state possible. I will rid him of all fear from all quarters. I will give him refuge. And once he is mine, he will not have to fear anything, anybody, anytime. Bhagavan gives a promise. Who is this promise valid for? Those who are able to give themselves completely over to him. What about those who are not able to give themselves completely over? He has already made sure that he has safeguarded that particular instance also. What did he say? Mitra bhavena samprapto natyajayam katanchana dosho yadyapi yasyat. Even if you are not able to fully surrender to me, but come with a partial surrender to me, I will not refuse you. I will not refuse you. Natyajayam. I will not give you up on you. But the freedom from fear is for those who have surrendered completely to me. There's a small difference in here. If you go to God, even with only half a heart to surrender, half a heart surrender's worth of protection you will receive. If you surrender partially, God will not reject you. He will not say, get lost. If you can't surrender fully, don't. God, He's not binary. God is quite non-binary. Binary na enna 1 or 0. Either you surrender fully or it is not considered surrender at all. Get lost. Appadina binary. God, I am non-binary na apve shurutar. Pennahiya peruman. What is Shiva's nature? Shiva is non-binary. Ardhanarishwara. You have to refer to Shiva as they only. They, it. Not as they, he, she, but it. Brahma Molya. Atma ke gender kadayade. Tattu Thomasindane cholradu. That you are. Apo, non-binary Bhagavan is, he says, there is full surrender, there is no surrender, but in between there is a partial surrender. I accept partial surrender also. How does partial surrender work? If you surrender 10% to me, I will give 12% protection. Adu 2% kosurundu. Bhagavan gives a little bit of, 20%. 20% extra he will give. You will say, if I surrender 100%, then what will happen? You will get 120% protection. What is the big deal in this? Then it will not fail. He will add a little bit, he will top up a little bit. He won't say, you surrender 10% to me, I will exactly measure out and give you only 10% protection. Bhagavan is not going to do that. Because in the story that we saw of Draupadi being disrobed, Swami narrates a very nice backstory to it. It seems once the Pandavas and Krishna were all together celebrating Shankaranti, Pongal, Shankaranti festival. During Shankaranti festival, generally in India, we eat sugarcane because that is the season when sugarcane is harvested. So generally people will cut sugarcane and chew on the sugarcane and eat sugarcane. So all these people were gathered together. Krishna was taking sugarcane and cutting for everybody. But as he was cutting the sugarcane, he happened to cut his finger. So his finger started to bleed. On seeing the bleeding finger, immediately Satyabhama, Krishna's many wives were there. Satyabhama was there, Rukmini was there. Satyabhama immediately called her maid and said, go get some bandage. Rukmini ran to bring the bandage. Draupadi was also there. What Draupadi did, it seems, she tore a portion of her brand new sari that she had worn for the festival day. She tore that sari and used that to tie up Krishna's wound because she said, cannot wait until the bandage is brought. She felt that great love for him that she rushed to tear her sari and give it. Swami says that when Draupadi was later standing there in the Kaurava assembly, calling out to Krishna, Krishna remembered the small piece of sari cloth that she tore and tied upon his finger. And in order to return that, he gave her reams and reams of saris, of cloth. And it is not that, you gave me the small piece, I will return this exact same small piece to you. But Bhagavan does not do. That is his greatness and his glory. So even if you surrender only a little bit, he will give you protection, not just worth that little bit of surrender, but a bit more than that. But here, so he is highlighting those two situations. One, mitrabhavena sampraptam natyajayam katanchana. If you come to me, you are not able to surrender to me, but you still approach me. Lord, I need your help. When you approach me, I will not refuse you. I will still accept you. Despite your faults, I will accept you, but I can only give you as much as you are worthy of receiving. On the other hand, if you unreservedly surrender to me and say, Lord, I am thine, do with me as you please. If you should say, then what will happen? I will free you from all fear, from all quarters. There is a difference. This is Rama's point of view so far. Now we've got to see Vibhishana's point of view. Yeah? Vibhishana is the one who is surrendering. The surrenderer is Vibhishana, the surrendered to, surrendery. The surrenderee is Rama and the surrenderer is Vibhishana. So what is Vibhishana's point of view? When Vibhishana comes seeking refuge, Rama says, bring him here. So they escort him there. Vibhishana comes there. He comes there and he says, Anujo Ravanasya aham tena chasmi avamanitaha bhavantam sarvabhutanam sharanyam sharanam gataha. Sharanam gataha, the Sharanagati. Anujo Ravanasyoham. I am Ravana's younger brother, Vibhishana. I have been kicked out by him. I have been insulted by him, humiliated by him, rejected and ejected by him. Bhavantam, you, Sarvabhutanam Sharanyam, who are capable of being the refuge of all the worlds, unto you I surrender. Sharanam Gataha, I have come into your refuge. First statement. Second statement Vibhishana makes. How have you come? Parityakta maya lanka mitra nicha dana nicha. Bhavadgatam hi me rajyam jivitam cha sukhani cha. These are the two verses, two lines that Vibhishana says at the time of surrendering to Rama. These are the two shlokas. Adhikaparam, Rama starts to speak. His surrender is comprised of only two shlokas worth. For these two shlokas worth and those two shlokas of Rama, entire Ramayana is called Sharanagati Shastra, the textbook of surrender, for 4 lines of surrender in it. 2 lines Rama's words, 2 lines Vibhishana's words. In these 2 lines, Rama's words convey what is the Lord's viewpoint on surrender. In these 2 lines, we understand how the person who is surrendering should be. So Vibhishana says, so and so is introducing himself and he says, I have come to surrender to you because you are the refuge of all the world. How have I come? Parityakta maya lanka. I have completely given up Lanka. There's a nice Sanskrit word here. Tyaktva. Having given up is the meaning of it. Tyaktva means having given up. Instead of stopping with Tyaktva, in this particular verse, Vibhishana adds a prefix to this. Pari Tyaktva. The word pari is a prefix. It qualifies the word Tyaktva. It adds something to the word Tyaktva. Tyaktva means having given up, having abandoned. By adding the word pari before that, something changes in the Tyaktva. What changes? Having completely given up Lanka. The word pari makes it a complete abandonment of Lanka. Not just Lanka, Mitrani, all my friends and family. Dhanani, all my wealth and property. I have not just renounced Lanka citizenship. I have also given up all my family because he has left everybody there. See, when Vibhishana comes, he doesn't tell his wife, okay, come pack up your belongings. Tell his daughters and sons, etc., come pack up everything, we are going. He did not come. Leaving everybody in Lanka, he has come. What is going to happen to Lanka? It is going to be facing war. What is going to happen to all the citizens of Lanka? Who knows? Who knows what is going to happen? Anna, at that stage when he comes to Rama, he doesn't bring all of those people there, he comes alone. His followers come along with him because they can be of assistance to Rama. Anna, he comes literally alone. Practically, he comes alone. Parityaktva, I have completely given up Lanka. I have completely given up my friends and family. I have given up my wealth and property. And now that I am here, knowing full well that I have come at a suspect timing, I may not be accepted here. I may be imprisoned or worse, even killed. Yeah, see, when Vibhishana came and stood there and Rama immediately held a round table deliberation of what is to be done, all the monkeys suggested various options. Everyone was suggesting a different option. Nobody was fully willing to accept Vibhishana, isn't it? What monkeys could think about, would not a statesman like Vibhishana be able to think about? He is not naive. He is not saying, I'll just go there and immediately I'll be accepted. Everybody will garland me, they will welcome me, they will give me sweets and make me sit on a throne. Vibhishana is not that naive to think that he will be happily embraced in the enemy army camp. Surely he can't be that stupid. Even the monkeys are capable of deliberating these pros and cons. Will Vibhishana not be capable of doing so? For what does it mean? As he is flying across, he knows full well that these are the possibilities in front of him. He could be imprisoned, incarcerated, and then used as a hostage to threaten Ravana. You have my wife, I have your brother. அப்படின்னு exchange பண்ணலாம். We will do an exchange of prisoners. Prisoner exchange பண்ணலாம். So he could be used as a hostage. Or he could be killed. Third option, he could be accepted. So he has only a third chance of being safe. 2/3 chance of actually being harmed in spite of the Tikams. Why? Did he have no other place to go? We have already established he had several options to migrate to. He could have gone to several places. He did not go to any of those places. He came to Rama, knowing full well that he may not be welcomed. Has he left a just in case option back home? Parityaktva, he has burnt his bridges already. Rama is only going to build it now. He has already burnt them. He has burnt all his bridges back home and he has come Parityaktva, Maya, Lanka, Mitrani, cha, Dhanani, cha. I've given up everything there. I can't go back. See, look at the situation. This is not a surrender where you hold on to a small corner just in case. Yeah, yesterday I told you about a story that Uncle Atha would narrate. Here's another one of his little stories. A man called Uncle Atha with a lot of problems. Some of you may be knowing Uncle Atha. Most of you may be knowing Atha Hillcoat, the only lion that you can find in Australia. This man called Uncle Atha with a litany of problems. He had a whole heap of problems. And he said, I've got this problem and I've got that problem and this is not working and that is not working and so on and so forth. So Atha heard him out patiently, which is a bit ironic because we know how Atha was with hearing. So when you say Atha heard him out patiently, we don't know how much he heard because he had a bit of a hearing problem. He had no hearing problem. He had a bit of a hearing problem. He was always here and now, well grounded. So Atha heard him out and then said to him, well, you've tried everything else and nothing has worked. Why don't you try surrendering to God? Why don't you try surrendering these problems to God? So that man said, oh, I haven't thought of that. All right, I'll give it a go. He kept the phone down. A week later, he called back and said, Atha, it has not worked. It did not work. None of my problems are solved. They're still there. And then he called back. Atha said, but you have not completely surrendered. You've held on to a small portion just in case. Surrender to God, but just in case. Otherwise, you won't be bothered about it. You will not call back after a week to say, my problems have not been solved. You have not completely surrendered. You've held on just in case. Vibhishana is not holding on to anything just in case. He's already burnt his bridges. Yes, parityaktva, I've completely given up my Lanka, my family, my friends, my property, my wealth. I have nothing. And now I've come here. And having come here, Bhavadgatam hi me rajyam jivitam cha sukhani cha. Now, my status, my life, my happiness are all at your disposal. Bhavadgatam, it is now in your hands. You can choose to do whatever you want with me, and I am perfectly happy to accept your choice. Abdini, he has chosen. Idam Goptrutva Varanam. This is his choice. What is Vibhishana's choice? What choice of Vibhishana makes the surrender perfect and complete? Now, Vibhishana's choice is to accept Rama's choice with respect to him. Bhavadgatam hi me rajyam jivitam sukhani. All my happiness is now up to you. If you say, imprison this fellow, his brother dared to take my wife away and give grief to all of us, revenge, I will put him in prison. If you want to do so, do it. My happiness is in your hands now, not in my hands. If you want to kill me, you can kill me. Jivitam, my life itself is in your hands. Everything now I've handed over to you. Everything now belongs to you. Do with me as you please. He said. Now, hear this carefully. Observe this particular situation carefully. Vibhishana comes and says, I've given up Lanka, I've given up my family, I've given up my wealth, I've given up my kingdom, my life is in your hands, my happiness is in your hands. Do with me as you please and I will accept it. When he said, what was Rama pleased to do? Immediately Rama said, bring the waters of the ocean. So Lakshmana went and brought the water from the ocean. Hanuman went and brought the ocean. Rama had the water ceremoniously poured on Vibhishana's head and placed a crown upon his head and said, I shall crown you the new emperor of Lanka. Do with me as you please. So Rama said, are you sure? Are you sure you want me to do whatever I want? Yes, Lord, do with me as you. In that case, I'll make you king of Lanka. Ta-da! I will make you king of Lanka. So what came back? What did he let go of? Lanka. What did he let go of? His family and friends. What did he let go of? His property and wealth. What did he lay in Rama's hands? His life and his happiness. What was returned to him? The stewardship of Lanka itself was returned to him. He gave up Lanka as a citizen of Lanka. He returns to Lanka as the emperor of Lanka. There's a big difference between the two. His friends, the entire population became his friends. Not only that, Rama became his friend, Lakshmana became his friend, Sugriva became his friend, Hanuman became his friend. For having given up a few friends, he got all of the satsangam as his friends. Bharata is now going to become his friend. Shatrughna is going to become his friend. Everybody is becoming friends with Vibhishana. Yeah. He said, my life is in your hands. Vibhishana is one of the Chiranjeevis. They say he is still alive. For having given his life to in Rama's hands, Vibhishana and Hanuman, who also handed his life to Rama, are perennially alive, is our belief. They are Chiranjeevis. Saptaite Chiranjeevinaha. We say there are 7 long-lived, eternally lived people. Vibhishana and Hanuman are part of that list. Bhavadgatam hi me rajyam jivitam sukhamana. What was lacking in his happiness now? Why now? He was the king of Lanka. He got to save the entire Rakshasa race, which would have otherwise been completely demolished and obliterated by Rama. He became friends with Rama. He received the grace of Rama. Now, what is there to be sad about now? So what did he give up? He gave up his happiness. What did he get back? Unlimited happiness. He gave up he decided to give his life over to Rama. What did he get? Unlimited life. He decided to give up his kingdom. What did he get? He gave up his citizenship. What did he get? The entire kingdom. Rulership over the kingdom. Now you see why this surrender is held out as the highest surrender in Ramayana. A perfect surrender that merits a perfect reward. We will stop here for today. It's already 5 past. We've got 2 sessions tomorrow in which I hope to delve a little bit more into these details of surrender as demonstrated by the latter-day saints, not the church ones. The saints who came later on after Ramayana Kalam, there were so many holy ones and Mahatmas, right up until Ramana Bhagavan, all and up until our Swami. So all of their insights into what surrender is, we will see in the 2 sessions that we have tomorrow. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukha bhag bhavet, loka samasta sukhino bhavantu, loka samasta sukhino bhavantu, loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Sai Ishwararpanamastu.